Yes, I'm back to take a look at some more video nasties, and this is actually the last time I do so since, well, after this video I've covered all 72 of them. And it only took me like, what, 10 months? It's not bad. So, well, let's dive right in and take a look at the last 5 obscene movies that would have turned 80s UK kids into bloodthirsty serial killers. And, well, to be honest, the first movie title, it's a great one. The Werewolf and the Yeti. That, well, that definitely sounds promising, so, let's just take a look.
Made as La Maldición de la Bestia, since it's a Spanish production, it was the 7th or 8th installment in a loosely related series of horror movies starring Spanish horror legend Paul Naschy, and I'm probably mispronouncing that, as Waldemar Daninsky the Werewolf. I'm saying 7th or 8th since the second movie seems to not exist. You know, it was either never finished or never made to begin with. Whatever the case is, it's just not there. This movie can be seen as an origin story, since Voldemort isn't a werewolf when the movie starts. Voldemort. So, as per usual, a Yeti spotting expedition in Tibet went wrong, so this group goes out to see what happened. Voldemort takes the rough route, and while he was looking for a Yeti, he finds vampires. What a day. And besides Yetis and vampires and werewolves, there's also a group of killing bandits. Really, everything goes wrong for this expedition group. But that does provide for a lot of entertainment. Really, this movie is just a little bit of everything. Of course, you get a nice dose of horror with scenes of Paul Naschy in an unconvincing werewolf getup, but also a little bit of shooting action with some pretty cool stunts. And later, it turns into this adventure type movie with the aforementioned sadistic raping bandits. In the end, it's just fun, you know. All the fights, they're so theatrical. Naschy sure loves the dropkick. And on top of that, it succeeds in creating a nice bit of atmosphere, and we get to see some nice locations and some pretty señoritas. I make it sound like this is some kind of lost masterpiece, but that it definitely is not. I mean, it's still just a piece of Euro horror schlock, but at least it's a fun piece of Euro horror schlock.
And, well, that's it. Sometimes it actually gets kind of brutal, but because it's all just so silly, you know, in the end it's all just good fun. This was actually the first Paul Naschy as Voldemort Daninsky the Werewolf movie that I've seen. But, you know, if the other entries in this series are kinda similar, then, you know, I'll probably check out some of those as well, eventually. But first, the next movie. And if you thought that the previous movie just now had a great title, how about The Witch Who Came From the Sea? And really, that title in combination with this poster art, well, that has got to be the most misleading on this whole list. Why, you ask me? Well, let's see.
For one, there's no witch. Definitely not a man-decapitating goddess-like witch who looks like she belongs on the cover of a sci-fi horror comic. Whoops. Oh, so that's where the artwork comes from. What we do get is Millie Perkins, aka Anne Frank, aka Aunt Molly, a seemingly normal woman, but as the movie progresses we slowly learn that she has her problems and, well, that she's basically just batshit crazy. It's always these ants. What's up with that? She's obsessed with famous people, you know, like athletes and actors, who she considers to be the perfect men, but at the same time she dislikes them with a passion. So when she gets in contact with these people, well, as you might imagine, that's not a good thing. During all of this, she keeps telling her nephews how great their grandpa was, idolizing him as the perfect man, while her sister, who's a bit more in touch with the real world, tends to disagree.
Grandpa was a drunken bum.
So yeah, that's what we get, and that all just makes for a pretty weird movie. But I liked it, and if you're already like fuck Age of Ultron and Jurassic World, I gotta see The Witch Who Came From the Sea, then skip to here so I won't spoil anything for you. Because, yeah, her down-to-earth sister is a little more reliable, and her dad was indeed just a no-good alcoholic who sexually abused at least Molly, which towards the end of the movie we get to see in this pretty rough flashback scene. And this made Molly the way she is, and she gets very weird around the people she feels attracted to and idolizes, to a point where she usually ends up killing them, which sometimes makes for pretty weird scenes. But it's interesting. Like I stated before, perhaps mostly while talking about Nightmare Maker, I adore movies with these troubled, you know, like psychologically damaged or unstable characters. It's just something that really piques my interest. And with Molly, well, you've got a good one. So, while it might be a little dull if you're expecting a devilish sea witch going on a gory murder spree, on the other hand, you might be a little pleasantly surprised by what it actually is. You know, an okay, interesting psychological drama thriller.
Because in the end, that's what it is, I guess. In all honesty, I really didn't expect anything. You know, in general, with these video Nazis, it's a good idea to keep your expectations low. So I did, and, you know, I actually quite enjoyed this one. I also kept my expectations low for the next movie, mostly because it's directed by the infamous Jess Franco, who we saw earlier during the series with cinematic masterpieces like Bloody Moon and The Devil Hunter. So, after we've seen him try his hand at the slasher genre and the cannibal genre, now with Women Behind Bars, we get to see his take on the women in prison genre. Maybe it's a good idea that I kept my expectations low. Well, let's see.
Yeah, with a Franco women in prison movie, I really didn't expect a lot more than just gratuitous nudity and women being mistreated. But here we're immediately treated with a super complex, elaborate story about a jewelry theft with multiple double crosses and whatnot. All of which eventually leads to this girl landing in prison, and then we do get the torture and the gratuitous nudity, including the famous Jess Franco crotch shot. Very classy, Franco. The girl is played by the beautiful Lina Remey, the longtime partner and eventual wife of Franco, who played in a lot of his movies. And, well, she's always a delight to look at, that's for sure. Besides that, I don't know. This movie really doesn't have a lot to offer. Most of the time it's just, dare I say it, a little boring.
What's this? Really? Is this the final time in 14 videos covering 72 titles where I call a movie boring? Oh wow, that's quite special. I mean, I've said it a lot. I don't have a montage of me doing so, at least not yet. But believe me, a lot of these video Nazis are just pretty darn boring. I've honestly dozed off so many times while making this series. But hey, let's continue.
Basically, most of the movie consists of different parties trying to find out why Shirley, that's the name of the main girl, why she killed her boyfriend who was part of the jewelry heist. Because they think she knows where the jewels are hidden, but she claims to know nothing. It really is a great story. Honestly, I don't know what else to say about this one. There's lots of long and boring scenes of, for example, just people walking. In that case, I much rather watch Shot on Tango, where they literally have multiple minutes long scenes of just people walking. But then again, that movie didn't have gratuitous lesbian sex scenes with sexy music.
Yeah, eat your heart out, Orange is the New Black. Well, that was the last Jess Franco movie on this list. Maybe I should start a new series where I take a look at every movie that Jess Franco has ever directed. But I probably shouldn't.